Hello and welcome. I'm Skura, also known as Islands in the Front, and I am a Blue Fay gamer. I won trios at Popageddon last time. I top 4'd the main event of Popageddon last time, and I also won the Polish Nationals, all with Mono Blue Fay. And now Popageddon Leko is approaching, another hundreds and hundreds person tournament. And in that tournament, I will be playing Fay again, naturally. And today I want to show you my new list that I'm locking for the event, alongside with all the innovations I've decided to bring. Now, in addition to the list, I also have a full 22 matchup sideboard guide for Fae, which includes decks like, of course, Grixis Affinity, Gen Wildfire, or the Mirror, but also Cycling Storm, Gardens, or Elves. So you can see there in the screen, metafy.gg slash Skura, and you'll get it. Now, let's talk about the list together here. A lot of things haven't changed. I will start with the main deck. 8 ninjas, that's classic. 4 Off-Mind, that's classic. Only 2 snaps though. I've decided that snap is just lackluster against the top decks and also in multiples. So against Affinity, it's really bad. Against Giant Wildfires, you don't want to bounce Refurbished Familiar Chrysalis, do you? Against Kuldotha, really bad. Against, Glee, okay, that's defensible. Finally, the first okay matchup for Snap. But like, when you pair into those dispute grindy decks, again, Affinity, Giant Wildfires, but also those Kuldotha decks, it's just isn't doing the trick for me. So I played 2 of them with the intent of sometimes they're fine, you can convert them as a trick, but also I never want to draw the second one really, right? So 2 in the 60 makes sure that largely in a game I'll probably draw like 1-ish, which is exactly what I want. Now, what did I spend these 2 slots on? Well, Nullify. So remember what I said about not bouncing Refurbished Familiar Chrysalis? Well, I really want to counter Refurbished Familiar and Chrysalis. Now, in addition to 4 counterspell, I wanted to find a tool to combat actually these 2 cards specifically. Now, what is the next best counterspell for a deck like this? Well, options are pretty limited. So I opted for Nullify, which is basically Essence Cutter. But its blue cost is justified because for us it doesn't matter, but it also doubles up as a counter for auras, which is useful against Boggles that have had a resurgence, but also Nyxbone Hydra that's bestowed because it's an aura, against Glee naturally because it's an aura. So it's actually pretty versatile. So, and it's very often valid whatever the matchup you play. So this is where the slot went. Now you can see I have 3 Dispels main deck and exactly 0 spell pieces. Is that on purpose? Yes, it is. Yes, it is on purpose. Spell piece has been very lackluster, but that's mainly because of the way I play this deck. It's not about spell piece itself, if that makes sense. I know you can counter Glee, Synthesizer, Kuldotha Rebirth, Malevolent Rumble, Ico Wellspring, right? And a lot of cards that dispel counters as well. However, in the past, what I did is, on the draw, for example, against a dispute deck, I would go land pass to hope to catch them, with a spell piece, right, for the Wellspring or for the Rumble. Right now, my approach has changed. I'm thinking, let them play a 2 drop that does nothing. I'll develop my own plan. I'll play a creature to then start doing my own thing. And the counter is going to be useful down the line on turn 3, turn 4, rather than turn 1, turn 2. And if that's the case, Spell Pierce loses its potency really fast, while this spell doesn't. And also counters the things I care about. Breath Weapon, Snuff Out, Pyroblast, Deadly Dispute, right? And those Dispute decks typically, get a bunch of mana. Giant Wildfires actually ramps. So they could realistically just pay for the Spell Pierce. And Mono Blue Fairies is not your typical aggro deck. It's a tempo strategy that actually cannot kill before like turn 5, turn 6, turn 7. So I don't want those unreliable cards in my deck. I used to cut, I did cut Force Spike at the very beginning, and now I moved on to Spell Pierce. So, I am relentless about cutting cards that lose potency in this strategy. Now, I do play Classic for Miscreant, Classic for Seer, 2 sprites which have been stock since I won my nationals with 2 sprites. Just 3 intruder, because in most matchups the first one is okay, you can make use of it. It's great against Kuldotha, but actually, against Affinity, against Glee, against Junt, you don't really want it. You don't really want it. So to strike the balance between I don't really want it in a lot of matchups, but I cannot disregard Kuldotha completely, I still keep 3 in. And again, some slots have freed up, and I played 2 Harrier tricks, which might be the spiciest addition to the list, honestly. Because 3 Dispel, whatever, just more Dispels. 2 Snaps, I guess. But Harrier tricks, bam. That's a banger, if you ask me now. It's a 1-drop that flies. That's great in the deck. It's not a Fae, that's clearly a downside, but it's a it still counts for off-one mind as a non-human, the same way Fae would. Okay, now naturally, Strix turn 1 into Spell Starter turn 2 is in the curve that we really enjoy in this deck, but that's okay because that's not the role of Strix. If you have to, you will play it on turn 1, of course, but the goal is to play, let's say Miscreant turn 1, Ninja or Spell Starter. A couple of turns go by. Opponent actually goes, okay, Mirror Enforcer. And I don't have a counter. Happens. Right? Then I untap with my 3 or 4 lands. And instead of not attacking because I can't throw Enforcer with my ninjas, or having to spend 3 mana, potentially the whole turn, tapping it down with Sprite, leaving me open to their answers, for example, post board to Breath Weapon, I just go 1 mana, bam, add a creature, tap it, smash with everything, keep the Strix, keep the mana open, you can't do anything, and then I just got a free attack in. Now, this might not seem like a lot, but this free attack is attached to, again, a body that I want to play in this deck, which is a flyer that's blue. It does tap a target permanent, so you could play it pre-combat to tap a land to maybe turn off some combat tricks. But also you have the draw discard ability, which is just icing on that delicious hourly cake against Affinity, John Wildfires, even Glee when the games go long. It's actually really useful to have that draw discard and even ditch maybe a card that's no longer useful, or maybe just draw through your lands because you really want to hit that 4th, 5th, sometimes even 6th land. But 8th, not so much. So this is the list I'll be registering for Lecco, and I feel really confident in. And again, I have a full guide on it. That's like 40 minutes of read time, careful read time for you. But sideboard guide. Let's talk about sideboard. And this is the deck. 4 Annul, complemented with the 5th Sabotage. 4 Binder Monster, which my testing has showed is actually really good. And I want the full number, against Terror decks, against all the Chrysalis decks, against Gruul Ramp. They actually play a creature, just go, okay, whatever. I've got so many binds, I can just go bind this, attack in, draw a bunch, counter, bind this, attack. And you can actually keep up sometimes. Brine Barrow as the 4th one, right? Because I still want to maintain the number in the total 75. I play Hydroblast times 4, which is pretty typical, and a 4th Dispel. 4th Dispel to dumpster all the black-based decks. And the thing is that this meta just lines up perfectly around Dispel, because what do black decks play? Jund Wildfire, Jund Glee, Affinity. They play probably 8 Dispute effects. And what's their removal? Snuff Out, Breath Weapon, Pyroblast, Sandstorm, Dispel, counter that. No questions asked. No questions asked. So I think it just lines up perfectly to exchange very efficiently, brutally efficiently, because that's the deck. You want to be brutally efficient. You want to begin with the ninja and a couple of creatures, and then from that point on, just be able to both add to the board and keep up with whatever the opponent's playing. And that's exactly the plan. So this is my deck list. This is my deck list for Popageddon Lecco. Again, I top 4'd the previous Geddon, losing just like maybe twice the entire weekend. And I hope to make that run happen yet again. I hope to, have even more conclusions after Popageddon Lecco. And who knows, maybe before pop again. I'll have even more ideas that I'll post on my Metafy page. But for now, I highly implore you to subscribe to this channel because, as you can see, you'll get content like this, analysis replays, but also deck analyses. You can also join my free public Discord linked below, where we've already got over 300 people, almost 400 people, 400 mono blue fey enjoyers, where we talk about strategy, sideboarding, what to do, different matchups. So and I'm really active there, so you can feel free to ask me direct questions there. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and as always, please remember to hold my hand and let's pass it in together, and I will see you next time. Cheers. Boo!